cash register is ringing. He has hurt the car.
Again, the IndyCar safety crews are right there, but this is a very precarious position.
A lot of warning before they get there. The flagmen around here really give the drivers a lot of warning so they don't get hit by another car.
Little Al comes in for a stop, Jack.
Scheduled stop for Al Unser Jr. Number 31, as you said, Al Jr. trying to change history by making it a winning car number in IndyCar competition. They are going to make, gentlemen, no changes on the car. They have completed the fueling. That's what they want to make sure they get a full load. They do in 15.0 seconds.
Jack, of course, you mentioned that winning streak. This would be his 4th consecutive win if he can manage it. Only one other person has done that in recent history, and that is himself. He had a winning streak 4 in a row back in 1990.
As Little Al comes up to speed, Paul Tracy takes over the lead of the race. Little Al stopped on the 49th lap. But here's a change. The yellow comes out. So Al Unser Jr., if he could have held off for a lap, would have made the stop under yellow.
Yes, but it isn't going to hurt him too bad, Paul, because the other guys like Paul Tracy are going to have to go in. And this is going to turn out to be one of those situations where first in, first out. So she should end up being up near the front, with the exception of the ones that are out of phase on his pit
That's
stop.
what I was going to ask you. This is going to help those guys immensely.
It'll help them immensely right now.
Men like Brian Herta.
Now, Mario, of course, with his incident, has dropped back through the field and is not in competition for the lead of the race in any way. In fact, he's not in the top 20. They wait for Paul Tracy and Emerson Fittipaldi. There's Fittipaldi, Jack.
The teammates come together. Now, Emerson Fittipaldi was complaining about a slight push, so we'll wait to see if the crew will make any major changes. Paul Tracy is off and away as we continue to watch the service on Nigel Mansell's car as well. A very busy time in a full course yellow. Mansell continuing his work. Meanwhile, further up pit road, Emerson Fittipaldi and Paul Tracy have completed their work, while Robbie Gordon continues to get his service in his Valvoline machine.
Whoa, Fittipaldi on the roll comes out right alongside of Mansell. Mansell got scored with the lead of the lap because he's pitted on the other side of the line. Let's go to Gary.
Well, Paul, that situation resulted when Mansell started to accelerate out of the pits just as Jacques Villeneuve, 2 pits ahead, pulled in. They came within inches of hitting each other. Villeneuve stopped on a dime. Mansell hammered it and got out of there. He left rubber streaks all the way down pit road as he accelerated. But again, they were just inches from disaster.
Similar thing almost happened between Michael Andretti and Teo Fabi as they came out of the pits.
Of course, a lot of times when a driver leaves the pits, if he can do it in somewhat of a safe manner, he would love to block the guy coming out from behind him, because remember, it's so hard to pass. If you can get out of the pits first, boy, that's a big game.
Bobby, there are a lot of rules. Maybe you're not the guy I should be asking this question, come to think of it, but let me try it. There are a lot of rules on the conduct of the cars on the course. We're going to take a look first at the Adrian Fernandez situation and what brought out this full course yellow.
He obviously went in there, got very loose. You could see his rear end was coming around, even though we couldn't see a bunch of it. You could see his rear end coming around. He got loose and just out to the fence, and kerbam.
Reminds you of Dominic Dobson. Same sort of incident.
Nigel Mansell in the pits. This is that. See, that's where he had to dart over as Villeneuve came through.
And he lost momentum, of course, which allowed Fittipaldi to get back in the exact position he was before they both pitted.
All right, Bobby, so here is my question. Is there any rule regarding that? Does one person have a right of way over the other?
Absolutely not. There has never been a rule about that, and it's just like root, hog, or die. Get out the best way you can, and if you can block somebody without creating an unsafe situation, you do it. Now, in this particular place with Mansell, look at the tires. He's captured. He needs to go straight. He looked in his rearview mirror. He's got Emil coming down there. He's got a problem. He has to slow down, stop, and there goes Emil right by there.
He was just trapped in a situation there. So
like a funnel.
We are still under full course yellow while they get this car, that of Adrian Fernandez, off the course. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Still under a full course yellow, the third of the day here in the ITT Automotive Detroit Grand Prix, as the rest of the field is now beginning to close up behind Al Unser Jr. and the PPG pace car. Here is the order behind the pace car: Unser Jr., Paul Tracy, Emerson Fittipaldi, Nigel Mansell. Now tonight, All family fun with America's Funniest Hour, followed by Lois and Clark. And then before Melrose, Heather Locklear. Heated Up Dynasty. Now she's back with Joan Collins, Linda Evans, and John Forsythe. Dynasty, the reunion, tonight here on ABC. So the third full course yellow of the day, taking the speed down to 85 miles an hour. Stevie Johnson. We call Stefan Johansson Stevie Johnson when we're not on the air. Now we've done it on the air, and so I quit. Stefan Johansson is pulled off the course, climbed out of the car, and his day apparently is over. We'll try to keep track of him and find out what that problem was, Bobby.
And his happened under the yellow flag when he's going slow, so Lord only knows what went wrong with him. But, you know, the thing that is interesting is the drivers and teams that planned their one-stop race or one-stop pit stop for the race have all failed now. All the guys that have planned a two-stop race are the ones that are out in front.
Our EDS scoring showing us that 12 cars still remain on the lead lap, led, of course, by Al Unser Jr. Now, take a look at this. This was Nigel as he was coming out. He was already at the point we picked it up there around Villeneuve. Now let's take a look. This is an entirely different view of that same stop and shows you how he got trapped.
Watch for Villeneuve.
Whoa.
Yeah, split-second stuff. You know, out on the track, you fall into sort of a rhythm, but in the pits, that never happens.
And the one thing that we didn't see is those right ahead. Look at the tires right out in front of him. That's what was causing the problem. Somebody else's tires for somebody else's pit stop. That's what caused the first part, and then comes by Emerson after the Villeneuve thing. So Nigel was like the Civic Center down in L.A.
Look, too, at the frustration on the crew when they realized what's happened here.
Yeah, because they know they've lost the spot to Fittipaldi. And it was going to be so hard for Nigel to get by him on the track, and they had it done in the pit. So that's a doubly frustrating thing.
Villeneuve's the one that really did a good job on that. He knew when to stop and not press the issue anymore, and that saved the whole thing.
Let's go to Gary.
Barry Green is watching anxiously for a restart on the green flag. He must communicate to Villeneuve. Was your heart in your throat when he had to jump on the binders and Mansell came rocketing out of there?
Yeah, it was all pretty hectic. A lot of cars in and out, you know, and we were encouraging him to get down here. But it was a good call. I mean, he saved us. We just got a little bit crossed up there.
Okay, well, let you get back. He's watching
green here, Gary.
Watching anxiously for that green, as we do. Thank you,
Gary, of course, Villeneuve concentrates so hard on his driving, he actually comes out from the pits, from where the transporters are, with his helmet on. He comes out fully ready to drive, gets in the car, and goes.
Sam, it's something that we've not seen. In Indianapolis, it was amazing because it was at least a half hour before drivers got in the cars. He left Gasoline Alley with that helmet in place. He says it helps him focus. He's done it here this weekend. I think I hear engines escalating.
As they throttle up, the green flag comes out once again on the 53rd lap with Al Unser Jr. leading the field around. Let's give you the order at the front. Unser Jr., followed by Tracy, followed by Fittipaldi, Mansell, Gordon, Teo Fabi, Michael Andretti, Bobby Rahal, Jacques Villeneuve, and then, of course, Gugelmin.
Now watch there, though. You got little Al in the 31 cart, Paul Tracy, right behind him. Now they've got a lot of traffic that is down almost a lap or whatever in front of them. This is where the problems are going to come.
Well, just as the race ended last week at Milwaukee, the Penske cars are running 1, 2, 3, and you wonder, is that good for the sport that one team is so dominating it? I don't think it matters a bit because you realize these drivers are racing each other. This is not formation.
Whoa!
Case in point, gentlemen.
Right there. He got tagged. Al Unser Jr. tagged from behind. Paul Tracy was the culprit, and that sent him off into the barrier.
There goes the streak of 4 consecutive wins.
And he is very mad.
Maybe not. Maybe not. Little
Anything
Al
is possible.
has incredible luck. This is the guy that one is going to have to worry about when Little Al gets a hold of him.
Look at the tire mark on the front of Tracy's nose. Little Al's going to be very upset over that one.
This is the 3rd consecutive year that Tracy has seized the lead on this track.
They're closing on Vassar. Now watch the car on the left.
Tracy's coming up. Went right down, booted Little Al, booted him off, and there he goes into the tires. Nothing Little Al could do, plus he didn't expect it to happen.
I don't think that's going to be a very popular move within the team. Do you, Bobby?
Well, it won't be. 2 cars on the same team, Sam, unfortunately have to be a little bit more careful than they would be if they were competitors on different teams.
The good news seemed to be that Little Al's car looked to be fairly intact. Watch it as it passes through the barrier here.
But obviously he's on the brakes, Paul, so hard he's probably got the engine killed on the thing right there.
There he is. Let's take a look at the wings and everything. He looks to be in pretty good shape.
We've seen those tires perform miracles when you run into them. It's hard to believe.
I don't see a problem there. Do you, Bobby?
I really don't. I see no problem.
Of course, we don't know about the finite parts of the steering, but he looks like he's in pretty good shape.
This is when a driver has to really pull himself together emotionally, too. I wouldn't be surprised if Little Al's pretty angry right now. He's got to steady himself out.
Nah, Sam, that won't bother him. He's been in a lot of wrecks before. The thing that's bothering him is he doesn't know whether his wings are bent or not right now, see?
Let's go to the pits once again, Jack Arute.
Well, Paul, one of the things that Team Penske does, according to Richard Buck, is they go over, kind of like the way we do before a race as far as what we think is going to happen. They go over all of the scenarios. They are waiting for Al Jr. to make his presence known on pit road, but they have already rehearsed a wing exchange earlier this week. They have the wing ready. Richard Buck has just received the word from Al Jr. that he wants his wings replaced. He'll be coming onto pit road on this circuit.
Well, that's a surprise because there's nothing really obvious about the rings. Obviously, he's uncomfortable with it. And Nigel Mansell. Nigel Mansell finds the tires, and he unstraps and is ready to climb out.
This looks like a repeat of last year. People having problems towards the end.
Well, just exactly. Wow.
Now, that's hard to do. I couldn't even do that.
That's awesome. He's an athlete and a half.
That's difficult.
So Nigel Mansell climbs out of his car and across the tires. Let's go to Jack Arute.
Well, Al Jr. has come in, and we're looking at the wings. Not a problem with the wings, gentlemen, other than on the right side, one wingtip has been bent. One of the control arms is slightly bent. They tried to fix it manually. We're under full course yellow. This will give them the luxury, the Penske team, of if they want to, talking their way through whether they want to change the wing or not. They simply change the tires.
More of a luxury because of this yellow, the fourth yellow of the day. This one because of Nigel Mansell, who was running with Fittipaldi. And it looks like he may not have tagged Fittipaldi, but it was close.
Yeah, it looks like there's a real good chance he might have touched him a little bit, but he was certainly locked up and spun, trying to avoid him as best he could.
Well, another way to find out is from this onboard camera.
Mansell, of course, desperately needed the points from here. Now he probably won't get any. They're about 2 turns away from where it happened, so watch closely.
Whoa. Got in trouble before he got Fittipaldi.
Well, actually, Fittipaldi, for some reason, slowed down an awful lot, and that caused Nigel to have to slow down unexpected. He wasn't expecting to have to brake that hard that soon.
As you can see, Nigel is back in the cockpit and ready to try it again. Let's look at this one more time, Sam.
Well, obviously, he locked him up suddenly there before he hit Emerson. He was certainly not attempting a passing maneuver when that happened.
I think Emerson should slow down unexpectedly.
Well, because of the car in front of Emerson, don't you think, Bobby?
Yeah,
quite possibly.
They're in slower traffic when they do this, and it looks like Emo got out of the throttle as well, but very definitely Nigel got over in the wall. Let's go down to the pits. Remember, there's no question. Well, there might be a question.
A chain reaction.
Let's go down to Jack.
Well, they call this gentleman the longest walk in sport, the walk that a driver has to make from his wounded car back to his pit area. Stefan, what was the problem with the machine?
Well, what finally made me stop was the 5th gear broke, but I got punted out in the start, so I had to come in on the first lap to replace the right rear tire, which of course put us at the back of the field, so, it's just one of those days.
It's been one of those years for you. You really had so much promise last year. What do you think the problem is? Is there something you can pinpoint to maybe turn the team around, the Alumex team?
No, I don't think there's anything that's wrong. I mean, we started off pretty good we're running a year-old car, and we ran 5th in the championship. When we came to Indianapolis, we had a horrible race there, but that was just a setup problem more than anything. And then last week we ran pretty strong, and then the engine broke, which is, one of those things. And here, the gear, 5th gear, how many times does that happen? It's just one of those deals.
Just bad luck. And talking about some bad luck, gentlemen, let's update you as well on Al Unser Jr. The upper A-arm is severely bent on the right side. question is what they can do to fix the problem as we run down the laps here this afternoon.
And can they do it in time? Exactly, Jack. Al Unser Jr. now runs in 10th place. 58 laps of the 77-lap scheduled distance are complete. Paul Tracy now has the lead of the race. We'll be back. TT Automotive Detroit Grand Prix, where Paul Tracy is our current leader. As a result of that confrontation with Little Al, his teammate Emerson Fittipaldi sits in second place. Robbie Gordon started in 10th place, is now up in third. Teo Fabi sits just behind him in the Pennzoil car in fourth position. Michael Andretti, who started